baby!
Fuck yeah.
We're here again on Two Friends and a Movie with Matt and Sixto.
That's right.
With our big Oscar win again this year.
Again. Don't fuck with us.
Not only did we nail Picture of the Year, we nailed it 6 months ago when this movie came out. And we told you over the summer this was going to be the movie of the year.
We saw this movie and we said simply, if a movie beats this movie, we stop doing Two Friends and a Movie.
Yeah.
That's it.
And here we are doing Two Friends and the Movie.
Yeah. You know why? Because we're fucking right again.
Right again. And not only we were right on Best Picture, we were right on Best Actor. We were Best Supporting Actor.
Best Supporting Actress.
And we did get Best Actress wrong. But we did say it was down to Lily Gladstone and Emma Stone. And because of the politics, we lean towards Gladstone.
Once again, and I got to learn this lesson because I've said this many times.
Yes.
Once again, I got bamboozled by you.
Bamboozled?
Yeah, because I said this is definitely Emma Stone.
You did. You were much stronger on Emma Stone than I was.
And I should have just picked it because we had split a vote before. Mm-hmm. And you kind of were like, yeah, but you know, like the ambience and then like the political correctness of right now. And I bought into that, and I should have not bought into that.
It made sense. And listen, I have a confession to make.
Confess it.
I did not see Poor Things before we did the Oscar special. I wanted to, but there's only so many hours in a day.
Listen.
But
right.
I think if I would have, and it's easy to say now, I don't know if I would have said the same thing beforehand, but after watching Emma Stone's performance. I think I would have leaned more towards Emma Stone than Lee Gladstone.
Yeah.
So anyway, it doesn't matter. 5 for 6 in the major categories.
Bam.
6 for the last 7 Best Pictures.
Bam.
All your movie needs done right here, right now.
Best motherfucking podcast with two friends about a movie.
But I do have some awful news for our audience.
What is it?
It's very bad.
What is it?
Today's podcast.
Oh, fuck off.
It's Dune 2.
Best podcast. I will not accept anything that you just said. Don't even talk anymore. The next thing you need to do is restart this fucking podcast properly. I don't want to hear nothing. Take a breath. Go.
Two friends in the movie. 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 With Matt and Sixto. With Sixto and Matt. With Matt and Sixto. With Sixto and Matt. With Matt and Sixto. Matt and Sixto. Matt and Sixto. Two friends in the movie. Two friends in the movie. Two friends.
Hello, everybody. We're back. Not that stupid duo you heard last time.
The fuck out of here with that
shit. OGs are back at it again.
That's right. That's motherfucking right. And I don't want to hear whatever from anybody else. Oh, why didn't you put me in your pancakes? This is why. You heard the last episode? That's why.
Yeah, I heard ratings were all-time low.
All-time failures.
The views were actually in the negative.
People unviewed.
Yeah, people were like, no, I'm not. I'm unviewing, and my buddy's unviewing, and now it's like minus 20 views. Like we owe Spotify 20 views.
20 views. Nuts.
And listen, those views are expensive as fuck.
Bro, I had to sell my car just to get one view.
Just to get one view.
Fucked up.
So we doing this stupid movie because people seem to want to hear about it. So I sucked it up and I went and saw Dune 2 so we could
The Revenge.
Boost our ratings back up.
Dune 2, The Revenge. No, Dune 2, Electric Boogaloo.
No, Dune 2, still nothing happens.
Something happened? Shit happened.
Nothing significant happened.
Very significant.
All right, we'll get into it.
Anyways.
So, there was one of those rare occasions where Sixto and I went to the movie theaters on a
Uh-huh.
date in the pouring rain and saw Dune 2. We saw it a few weeks ago, but we wanted to give the audience a chance to come see it.
Yeah.
Now that you've seen it,
Yeah.
we're going to talk about it.
Now, I got to say,
Say it. You're not saying anything.
I know this is hard to put into words. I hope this movie has been doing amazing.
Amazing. That's one thing I cannot deny.
Out of all of the movies that we have done that do very well, this is the one where I'm more on your side than I am my own.
Oh,
It's not that the
come
movie,
over to the dark side.
It's not that I think the movie is bad at all. I love this movie. I love every second of this movie. It's just that halfway through, it's so dense. It's so thick.
And boring. You forgot.
No, it's not boring. I wasn't bored. It's so dense that at a certain point, I literally said to myself, I wish I was watching this at home. Not because I don't know, man. I mean, I loved every second of it, but it was so fucking dense.
Yeah, and we're old now, so I think we prefer to do everything at home.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And what I've learned is that New York City movie theaters suck. Compare to Long Island movie theaters.
Oh, here we go.
On Long Island, you get your own big giant recliner. You get a table. You get cup holders. Some of them even have like waiters who come by and bring you stuff.
Yeah, New York has that too.
New York is like this tiny theater. The seat was like broken and like went too far back. So I like prop my neck up the whole time. And like for like 3 hours after a while, like your neck starts to hurt.
So
no recliner. Barely a cup holder to fit my liter of cola.
So I guess I have to come clean about something to everybody that's listening. We went on opening weekend to see Dune, and there were no seats at any fucking showing except for one showing, and I was wondering why there were seats in this showing, and it's because A, the seats sucked.
The seats sucked.
And B, much like Napoleon, we had to read through a bunch of people. Like this helped me because whenever I didn't understand what people were whispering, I could look down at the fucking subtitles.
Yeah. There was captions the whole time, which bothered me a little bit as well.
Yeah. So we had a bad experience, but the movie's fucking sold out forever.
The movie is sold out. It's got a lot of hype. You want to talk about what happens in the movie? I mean, this will be quick because this is 30 seconds of plot in this movie.
Right. So, the Dune book is 2 books within it, right? And the first book is like in the first movie, Paul Atreides getting to the desert. So it's really all the politics from his father and the houses. Book 2 is more about him living in the desert and what happens. Something that they don't explain in this movie very well, that I know because I read the books.
Oh,
is that,
fancy pants over here.
That's right. Is that, and I explained this when we talked about the first Dune. The Bene Gesserit are the witch, like his mother is a Bene Gesserit. Their job is in the future to go back in time and plant seeds that will become prophecies, quote unquote.
Quote, unquote.
They're not prophecies. They're telling you what's going to happen so that you, 1,000 years down the line, you're like, oh my goodness. It's like it was prophesized 2,000 years ago.
But it was planted.
But it was planted. So they go back in time and they plant truths. And then like when the truths start happening, people start saying, oh my goodness, Jesus is back, right? They don't explain that. Did you gather that from the movie?
This is the first I'm hearing about it.
Right. So, like, it's very weird that they don't touch on any of that.
Especially for a 3-hour movie.
Right. And, you know, like, David Lynch, Dune also kind of semi-touches on it, but not really. It's only in the book that you get, like, a whole explanation, like, why there's no computers, why everything seems a little weird, because computers went crazy, and then they have mentats, which are, like, living computers. And all this shit that is, I think, is so powerful to the storytelling, and no one fucking talks about it.
It doesn't, and I think this is a fantastic point, because coming from a person who knows none of this, I think I might have enjoyed it a little more knowing some of this information. Because I did say, like, they're doing all these things. They're in the future. They have spaceships, but they don't have a fucking iPhone to
Right,
tell
right.
someone that the bad guy's coming.
And that's the reason why. And the reason why their lasers are like weird and they still have like nuclear bombs.
And they fight with swords and knives.
Right. It's because computers fucked up. It's because computers try to take over the world and they like humanity just banned computers. But again, you're absolutely right. This is information that's vital. Meanwhile, we're over here talking about like, you know, to understand Paul, you got to understand the Paul is doing. Yeah. What about the information that makes me understand, like you said, why they're fighting with knives?
The basic plot of the movie.
But also,
It's like they started on chapter 3.
and to be fair, in the books, they don't kind of explain this outright. They just kind of do mentions, and then there's a bunch of appendices that explain the things. But if you want to do this right, that should be in the beginning. You have 6 hours of movie between these two movies. You could have taken half an hour and given me a history lesson and show it like somebody's reading a history book or whatever.
It could just be sprinkled in throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Like when someone new comes by or something happens or they mention it, like, oh, why don't we do this? Like, oh, it doesn't because of this. Or,
Right.
you know, you don't have to waste a half hour explaining everything, but you could sprinkle it throughout the movie.
And you could say, you know, blah, 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 blah. And then another character can say, and I hate when movies do this, but it's kind of necessary. Character says, like the reason why we don't have computers, because they went haywire and almost killed us all. Like somebody could, and I think if I'm not mistaken, in the first movie they kind of brush over that between Leto, the father, and Paul Atreides, like Leto Atreides and Paul Atreides, when they're in the. But I mean, you like
Maybe.
I didn't rewatch the first movie because we kind of did this on a
sucks.
rush. No, because we did it in a rush. But
because it sucks.
no, but
He's very defensive of Dune. It's like his own child.
it's my favorite book of all time.
See, the problem I think Dune does two things.
Yeah.
One, what we just talked about, that they don't explain all this nonsense. And two, that even though it came before Star Wars and all these other things, most of the public has seen those first.
Right.
So this, I don't think, does a great job of differentiating itself from that kind of universe.
Right.
So I think without the history lesson of why this is different and just jumping kind of right into the story.
Or the same, or why it's the same.
Yeah, why you don't understand, like, they do that here. Why don't they do that here? And
Right.
I think you miss pieces of it. Because I think, and fair or unfair, this movie is going to be compared to Star Wars by most of the public.
Right. That
just because
doesn't.
they're so similar.
Right, and the people don't know that this book came out in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And why would you? Like, unless it made such an impact on you that you're like, oh, I want to read the original and see what this is all about.
Yeah.
Why would you know? And look, so the story is Paul in the desert. So basically it's him becoming the white savior, which is what the movie, like this story is about on the surface. Even though Frank Herbert made it very specific that this is beyond that. This is about creating a system where a person should bring balance to the force. Because that's what it is. That's what George Lucas took from this too. There's one person that should bring balance to everything, and they have to not only plant all of these prophecies, quote unquote, but also manipulate who fucks who to have a baby how to create this person. If you remember in the first movie, when the Reverend Mother comes to Jessica, she said, you shouldn't have defined us and had a girl like we told you, because we were supposed to mate her with a Harkonnen, and then they were going to have the Messiah. But instead, you decided to have a boy, because the Bene Gesserit at that advance, like, they programmed themselves to be like, I'm going to have a boy. The end. It's not computer. Once again, there's no computers. They have to do it with the power of their brain. And because he's the anomaly, that's why he is who he is. But even them having the information that they have whatever the future gave them to guarantee that future happens. You see what I'm saying? Like, they can come back and be like, Lady Jessica must have a boy. They have to allow her to defy the order in order for Paul Atreides to be born.
Yes.
All of these things are very important, and you're right. It's a misstep not to fucking do the job and explain why things are like they are. And I know that this is a very thick movie, but you have 2 movies. You could have laid that shit out.
You could have laid it in. Because coming in from it without that knowledge, you don't fully grasp what's going on.
Yeah.
You don't fully grasp why these the Reverend Mothers are so important.
Yeah.
They're more of a
Like a witch.
Like a witch, yeah, and like it's hard to know to take them seriously or not.
Right. And you don't, because you don't know how actually important they are. Right. So, look, the movie starts with them being like now, like still exactly where the last movie left off. Mm-hmm. They're still going to the camp where these people are from, and now they have to decide what to do with Paul and Lady Jessica. Now, Lady Jessica has an advantage that she is a Bene Gesserit, and everybody fears and respects the Bene Gesserit. But then there's a problem with Paul. Here's an outlander, basically a white boy that came to the Middle East, killed one of the fucking natives, and everybody's applauding him for it. And there are people that are like, not so much fuck that guy.
Yeah. There's definitely a divide in the group.
Yeah, and they explain later on in the movie, which I thought was very smart, which is one of the things that they should have done with all of the shit we're talking about, that because the Javier Bardem character is from the south of the planet, they're super mega religious. Now, Zendaya has a bit of a change from the character from the book in that she's not just smitten with him, with Paul Atreides, and she's not all over him and being like, oh, maybe you are. She's more like, you know what? We live close to the Harkonnen. We fight them. We've been fighting them for fucking decades. We don't have that belief of the one that will save us. Mm-hmm. We know that we got to kill motherfuckers, and that's how we survive.
Yeah,
the end.
It kind of seems like, almost kind of like where we are now, just much closer together, where like the older generations kind of believe sort of more of an oldest traditional way.
Yeah.
Where kids these days kind of have their different beliefs.
Right.
It was the only thing differently is it's only one generation apart.
Yeah.
In Dune, where here it's like 6 generations.
And it's about religion. And now look, once again, feeding in information that you should know. Frank Herbert wrote Dune about Middle Eastern religions and how they're so different from the religions, because he's American, from the Catholic or, Christian religions that we have on this side, and how they are so not only defined by the religion so much more stronger. That's why you have terrorists, because people believe in the religion so much that the abuse that they're taking, somebody can manipulate their beliefs into making them terrorists. And I'm sorry to say, this had a lot of that.
It did have a lot of that. It did, which I don't really like in movies, but this kind of movie, you do it, is paint very clearly the good side and the bad side.
Yeah.
Which I never always like, because the bad people think they're the good side.
Yeah.
Like they think they're doing something for a noble right cause.
Yeah.
That helps their people.
Well, I got to spoil something.
Spoil it.
Do you mind?
No, I don't care.
Okay, but if you do mind, skip like 20, 30 seconds ahead, because this is major. In the books, Dune is like 6, 7 books. He's doing 3 movies based on 2 books. In the 3rd book, Paul Atreides realizes that he is a monster, that everything that he's done, it wasn't what he thought he was doing, like for the good of humanity or whatever. So that flip will maybe satisfy you a lot more. But fuck, man, if you don't see it now and you're like, look at this white fucking savior coming to these brown and black people and being like, oh, hey, man, let's plant some seeds so that when the white guy shows up, everybody fucking falls at his knees. And it's kind of tough not to fucking feel attacked on some way about who he is, because he's supposed to be the good guy, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Anyways, they've done the thing where he comes down. They have to deal with him. Lady Jessica drinks the water of life, which is the blood of a dying worm, which is pure, unadulterated, to the core spice. And she drinks it, and they find out that she's pregnant. So here comes a bigger problem, that her baby absorbs. You know how she was saying, like, drinking the water of life means you get the knowledge of all of these people that have come before you? That knowledge, and they don't explain this in the movie very well either, does not go to her. It goes to her baby. It's just that she takes the poisonous part of it and she controls it, and the baby then takes the brain part of it. So it's double fucked up, because now you have a fucking fetus that's smarter than anybody in the fucking room talking to her mom through the brain. And he's like, what the fuck is happening? That doesn't happen in the book, by the way. Like, she doesn't talk to the baby. She just feels like the baby's smart. And she feels like the baby's kind of expressing feelings of like, this is dangerous. I'm afraid of this. You should back off from this. I'm angry.
Which I get, because you can explain that in the book, but it's hard to
Right. So this makes sense,
yeah,
right?
You need, without a narrator telling like you what the baby's thinking, you wouldn't be able to get it.
Right. So and so now you have Lady Jessica and the baby, and trying to manipulate everybody to accepting Paul to being the Muad'Dib. Something also interesting.
Oh boy, a lot of interesting facts today.
Paul Atreides takes the name Muad'Dib, right? Which is the little mouse that lives in the desert. Yeah. And they all laugh at him. Because now he's proven that he's part of the gang. He's killed people with them. And he's like, come on, bro. I'm legit. I'm the truth. And now what's happening is that he needs a name that they call him by. And he needs a name that they call him by outside of their center. So like if in here, I call you Matt, but when we're out there, I call you douchebag. Most people think your name is douchebag.
Motherfucker.
So, Muad'Dib, actually, it's interesting that he picks the name Muad'Dib because it sounds close to Muad'Dib. So, like, also he's manipulating them to be like, don't fucking kill me. I'm cool, man. What's the mouse name? Oh, I didn't know. Just don't fucking stab me in the back when I'm sleeping. And they do all the things now, like the prophecies start taking place, like to not get too involved into this thing. And all the things that they said that he did, that once again is planted truths, start happening. He writes a giant fucking worm. It's like one of the biggest one they've ever seen. And Lady Jessica goes to the south and starts spreading, after she takes over where they live and making them believe that he's the fucking Messiah, then she goes south, but he refuses to go south. He refuses because he sees in his dreams that if he does, he's going to, millions of people are going to die. So he's fighting every fucking way not to do it.
I mean, talk about being full of yourself.
Yeah. Then,
you're like, yeah, moving on.
Because he's a piece of shit. I mean, it's not so much that he's a piece of shit. It's that he doesn't want to be the white savior either. Like, he goes out of his way, and I think they go out of his way to show that he doesn't want to be this thing. He just doesn't want to be killed. His one purpose for him is killing the people that killed his dad.
Tried to kill my father.
They killed him. So he really is just trying to get revenge. And now he's seeing that this is way more than that. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's having a problem trying to navigate how big he's becoming and all of the things that he's just doing that happen to be like, oh my goodness, as it's been prophesied.
Yeah, because he doesn't have a choice in the matter. It's been predetermined what his life is going to be.
Right.
And what he has to do.
Right.
With enormous pressures. And as a younger guy, he doesn't want to do those things.
The big responsibility. But once again, it's
like, I just want to, hang out with Zendaya and
and get her pregnant.
Yeah, fucking trip myself off some of this spice and just have a good time.
Let's get some spice party going.
Live in the sand, man.
I find it interesting that they do the thing where he's like, I don't want to do this, but like you're saying, it's not that he's predestined to do it. It's that it's a report from the future. He's already done this. So even if he's trying to fight it, it's going to happen anyways because there's no way to manipulate what already happened. And it's kind of like the most genius thing about Dune, that when you understand it in that sense, it makes so much more sense why he's like, well, I don't want to ride. I'm just going to ride a little worm. Don't worry about it. And then the worm that shows up is like the biggest fucking worm they've ever seen because he's like, oh, man, come on, man. Can I just not ride this one? And he's like, no, you're kind of doing it because you already did it. But they eventually, the other thing that's happening is that the Baron Harkonnen has already taken power back on Dune, and he put Dave Bautista to take care of shit, and he's an idiot.
He's an idiot. You know, you should see. It's a shame that this podcast is audio only.
Why?
Because the glimmer in Sixto's eye and the smile he has.
I'm not smiling.
Talking about this nonsense. It's got him in just bliss.
No, I'm not blissing, but I mean,
you are, man. It's all right.
Anyways,
you're so excited and happy about this. He is. He's so in the moment.
And Raban, played by Dave Bautista, fucking sucks. I'm running the place. So they get the most beautiful man on earth. It is not Timothée Chalamet.
No. With 2 fucking E's in your name. Shut the fuck up, Timothy.
It's Austin Butler, who's gorgeous, by the way. What a gorgeous man.
He's a very nice looking man.
And then they put a fucking prosthetic on him where he looks like a giant fucking sperm whale.
I'd see his character, I don't like it all.
Faith Rauta.
I don't like anything about how they did this character.
I agree.
Because they're like, oh, he's the next big thing. He's going to be this great warrior guy.
Yeah, I agree.
And then he gets into like one battle, and he does well. He kicks the guy's ass.
Yeah.
And then he gets his ass kicked by fucking 12-pound Timothée Chalamet.
I think that one of the big complaints that I have is that Faith Rauta is supposed to be in Dune since the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
He's supposed to be almost the same age as Paul, and you supposed to see that the Baron Harkonnen wants him to take over, but because Raban is older, Raban has power first, and he knows Raban's going to be a failure, so he's just really buying time for him to get Faith Rauta really ready. And they should have shown that in the first movie. They should have shown him being. They could have casted somebody younger.
Yeah, I feel like he's a wasted character. Like, it could have been a lot better.
Yeah. Or he could have had more weight if you would have seen him from before.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, hey, it's not your time yet, but start getting ready now.
Yeah, he wasn't developed enough.
Yeah.
I think for what they signify his role for. Like, he's this big thing. He's the next, savior of the
Harkonnen.
Harkonnen. And he's not. He's a big failure. They actually show more Bautista than they do this guy, which I don't know. It seemed wasted to me. It seemed like a missed opportunity.
Yeah, and once again, it's about development. If you would have put him before, we would have had an expectation of the guy.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're trying to create expectation and destroy expectation in too short of a range, given how much movie we're batching between these two movies.
And with only one battle between Timothée Chalamet and this guy, you knew how it was going to end.
Yeah, because, Timothée Chalamet is not going to fucking die.
Yeah, he's the star of the movie. And it happened so late in the movie that you knew this wasn't, just the first battle of many battles. This was the only battle.
The only battle they're going to have.
Yeah,
right?
And it was so short. Like, they fought for like 30 seconds.
And, truth be told, and fairness, they only have one battle, and you're right. At least build me up the character somewhere else.
Yeah.
Have him fighting with everybody else and killing 200 motherfuckers just by himself.
Yeah, like, have someone else who's also a great fighter and show him destroy it. Like,
yeah.
It didn't seem to...
It didn't sell well enough.
Yeah, I felt cheated a little bit by what this person was supposed to be.
Yeah. Faye Rauta, did you like... you know what I liked a lot? When they're in their planet, the Harkonnen, everything is like like a weird black and white.
Mm-hmm.
When they're outside, because the sun is a different color. I thought that was fucking amazing visually.
It was. The visually, throughout the entire movie, the visuals are fantastic. One thing I can't complain about in this movie is how it looks.
Yeah.
It's done really well. Those type of little touches, I think, are done really well. And you need the battle between good and evil.
Yeah.
It's essential for these type of movies.
Right.
I personally don't like it so much, just because, like, I don't know. I like to see both perspectives. I wish they would have shown more of the Harnakken and why they're doing all this, and not just trying to steal the spice from the planet so they can have it all their own.
And so what their answer for that is to give you what the plot has been from the go, that the Emperor didn't like Leto Atreides. Too many people liked him. He felt threatened, so he put himself together with the Harkonnen to get rid of the Atreides, but really to get rid, like, completely annihilate the bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
Get the fuck out of here. You're done. And they didn't count on Paul Atreides surviving, but now this is a bigger problem in the movie, and it's a bigger plot. And once again, it comes too late. I mean, I guess the problem is that it's a reveal of that in this movie. It's a reveal of Faye Rauta in this movie. It's a reveal of how Raban is like a really bad governor, like Dave Bautista.
Mm-hmm.
It's too many reveals. It's the reveal of how he's supposed to be the Kwisatz Haderach. It's just too many things happening at once.
It's too many reveals, and it's too similar to go back to the point before, to Star Wars. Is you have the main Emperor, you have Darth Vader, you have the other guys. It's just, and like I said, it's not its fault, and it should be able to stay true to itself.
Yeah.
Because this was created beforehand, and it was copied by Star Wars, not the other way around.
I mean,
But you have to live in reality, and in reality,
Star Wars exists, and
Star
it's huge.
Wars is the biggest movie maybe ever.
Yeah.
You
It's
have
huge.
to differentiate yourself from the simple plot points, and I don't think they do that well.
And they don't do that. And to Star Wars, not only is it the biggest movie ever just because it existed in 1977, it's because they've kept it alive.
Yeah.
Like every year there's something Star
There's
Wars
a whole
that comes
universe.
out. Yeah, and you will always go back to watch the first one because
Yeah.
you have to, because you're watching all this shit that continues to happen. So I feel like I agree with you in a little bit, except to me, I don't find it so similar, and that's because I have more knowledge of both, I suppose. But I'm using you as a good eyeglass to see how people that don't know them both very well,
Yeah.
how they feel. It's the same thing with John Carter from Mars. It's the same thing. Like Star Wars stole a ton of shit from John Carter from Mars, like a ton. But when the John Carter from Mars movie came out, everybody was like, what is this fake Star Wars bullshit?
Yeah.
And it's like, no, this is from the 30s. This is not even from the 60s. This is from the fucking 30s. This already had happened.
Long before,
Like even before George Lucas was born.
before Darth Vader was even a thought.
Right. But nobody can see that. And that's the fault of how impactful certain things
Yeah.
are. You know?
So I think they need to do a little better. I wish they would have humanized the other side a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Just to give you a different perspective of the movie and what's happening here, because Star Wars does such a good job of black and white. This is good, this is evil.
Yeah.
We're fighting this, everyone's on this guy's side.
Uh-huh.
We're all good. Everything they're doing is for evil ways. And that's what kind of impression I got watching this, is that we have a good side and we have a bad side.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, is part of
and
movie making.
it's politics, and politics are murky.
I just wish, these days, with so much content and so much before us, I'm looking for things that stand out.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I didn't get a lot that stood out to this movie that was really like, oh, this shit is like crazy. Like, you got to see this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Any of those points really happened.
Yeah. I was, well, let's end the story. The plot is that at the end, Paul Atreides fights with Faye Rauta. He kills him like a piece of shit, like we all knew was going to happen. Then he kills the Emperor. And he kills the Baron Harkonnen. All three.
All three dead.
But he doesn't kill the Emperor. He just the Emperor chooses Faith Rauta as his champion. And Paul Atreides is like light work. Even though he gets stabbed twice, so it's not really light work. I think that in the book, I remember that the baby, his little sister, is way more important in the book. but it's too creepy or too kind of like hard to make for make believe because she comes out as a newborn and she talks. So I think that if you reading it, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a hard visual.
But right, like if you have a little fucking baby killing people, you're gonna be like, they don't even have to. I kicked that baby.
Yeah.
It's dead.
I mean, the baby probably would weigh more than Timothy Chalamet.
More able to
Yeah,
kill.
I mean, I believe a baby killing 3 powerful men than Timothy Chalamet doing it.
And then big surprise.
Timothy Chalamet.
There's people that say we don't accept your legitimacy as the emperor because he has to now marry the daughter of the emperor.
Yeah.
And he says, if you don't want me to kill you, I'm gonna marry your daughter. Now I'm the emperor because he passes by power, and Zendaya is like, go fuck yourself, and she leaves. Well, those are differences from the book that are very important because in the book he explains to Shantae, this is what I have to do. It's not love, it's political. And she has to then be brought into the way of thinking of like big empire politics and be like, why would you marry her? Just say that she's your fucking empress. Nah, that's not how that works. But here they did a better job of being like Zendaya being like, are you fucking kidding me? You told me that you love me until you, as long as you have breath, you're going to marry somebody else, but you're not going to marry me? Go fuck yourself.
I think Zendaya is the best character in the movie.
Yeah. I think she keeps it real in a way that the book doesn't do that is necessary for this to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it shows you the flaws of all of the things that everybody's telling you so great. She's like, not so much.
I think she's the deepest character. I think the struggle she has to be true to her people, to be true to what she believes, which is against some of the elders in her own group, to struggle with accepting Atreides, to not accepting Atreides, to accepting what she feels about Atreides, to feeling betrayed by him when he goes to marry the other person, to the very end of the movie, which I hated. I hate when movies do this. I hate this because Fast X did the same nonsense. Yeah. Spoiler alert, here's how the movie ends. So if you want to see it on your own, pause it here and then watch it.
Well, we spoiled like too many big things already.
But like the ending is, if people don't want to know the ending,
that's true.
To turn it off now. But the ending, and it's kind of disappointing because she was the character I guess I was rooting for the most out of all the characters. And you're like, oh shit, she's finally coming into her own. She doesn't need fucking Timothy Chalamet. She doesn't need the old guy that was leading the group.
Yeah.
Like she's finally like, fuck you all.
Javier Bardem, yeah.
Yeah, I'm the captain now.
Yeah.
And she's about to ride a worm. And then, boom, movie's over. I'm like, motherfucker, 3 fucking hours and no ending.
So I have to say, the first one, I knew there was going to be 2 movies because I knew there were 2 books. And he said, I'm going to separate this into the 2 books that form the first book. So I was okay with it. This one, I was like, I just watched fucking 3 hours of movie and it didn't fucking end.
Yeah, you need
what
a
is
fucking
this,
ending.
Lord of the Rings?
I hate when movies don't have endings.
Yeah, I have to tell you, I told you when we saw the movie, I was shocked.
Yeah.
I was shocked that it didn't just end it. And I was like, well, now I'm reading immediately. I'm like, yeah, he said it was going to be 3 movies. He's only directing 3 movies. Whatever happens after that is out of his hands. He's doing the first 3 to tell the one leg of the story. But then I was like, if you're going to give me 3 movies, why is this fucking movie so dense?
Yeah.
How can you, like, this doesn't make any sense. How can this be so fucking dense and it's not over?
It's not over. But it's not even over. It's not even, like, on to the next phase almost. Like, if he would have married the daughter and became the emperor.
Right, and then you give me a part 3 where everything changes.
Yeah, like, from that point on, then I get it.
Yeah.
But to, like, stop it, like, mid-story. They're like, here she comes. She's going to write. Over. Like, I don't know. It felt almost like a slap in the face. Like, oh, you just watched 3 hours and you want a satisfied ending?
Fuck you. So, and
Come back in 2 years and spend another $60 and sit for another 4 hours to figure out how the story ends.
I don't know, man. I really feel like that was a mistake. And as much money as it is making, I guess we're also more prepared as people to watch like a trilogy of something.
We are, and with like series these days and everything on
Yeah.
Netflix and all that stuff, it's
Yeah.
a lot of things are those type of things. And this is like the first big like adventure fantasy blockbuster since before the writer's strike. Like,
Right.
this was the first one in a while.
Yeah.
Like Mission Impossible or Top Gun? That might have been like the last
Yeah,
one of
Top
these
Gun,
type
I
of
think,
movies.
was the last one, yeah.
So it's been a while. So I think the audience was craving this for a while. Like, come on, like
Give me something
we
like
need
what
something
we're used
like-
to.
I need a powerful giant movie right now.
Right.
So that satisfies a lot of that. And it gets you that fantasy, that space, that different world type of feel. But I don't know, man.
I gotta tell you, the only satisfaction I got of that ending is that I now know you have to watch part 3 with me because we done the first 2.
I know,
So now you
man.
have to watch it.
I hate that comedies don't do this. Like, there's no fucking giant comedy where it's 3 parts long,
Right.
where it ends like halfway through a joke. Like, I'm just gonna give you the setup, and then you have to watch part 3 to get the punchline.
2 years later.
Yeah. Remember that joke I told you 2 years ago? Well, here's how it ends. And there's no, like, previously on Dune that tells you what happens. No, it just starts.
Yeah, bro, it's fucking nuts. I got a few questions here for you.
Oh,
of things
boy.
that I want to talk
Interview.
about.
Do.
The interview. Chris Walken.
Christopher Walken.
Can we talk about Chris Walken?
I
a
know
little
how
bit?
much you love Christopher Walken.
Wow. You know, I was in Dune. Wow.
Wow.
There was a scene where the Florence Pugh, who plays the Princess Irulan, she's telling him something and he says nothing, and I lean over to Matt and I go, "Wow."
That was very funny.
But I don't know that I liked him there.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't do anything anyways.
He doesn't do anything anyways. He's I think, a good face. Like, you see him, you're like, oh, shit, Christopher Walken's in this?
Yeah.
Like, it catch your attention for a minute. The character itself is kind of meaningless.
Meaningless.
Yeah, like, he needs to be there because they have to pass, from one emperor to the next emperor. But it could have been played by anyone.
A nobody.
Yeah.
A no name would have been almost a little bit better because you don't have the expectation that you see Chris Walken and you're like, oh, wow, Chris Walken, it's in the movie. I hope he does something. But no, we got nothing from him, so it's kind of pointless to have him in there.
Yeah.
Unless he's going to have a bigger part in the next movie. But who the
Doesn't
fuck
seem
knows?
that way. It kind of
No.
seems like he's going into the background now.
Yeah.
Like, his character is meaningless now. They don't need him.
I need to talk a little bit about Timothée Chalamet, whom you hate.
Why?
Because I think I saw what people think that he's so great in this movie. I think that he carried a lot of the weight of the character very well. I think that he did a really good job of showing you somebody that's kind of refusing what everybody else is telling him that he is. And he does that well in this movie. I think that he also did a great transformation from the guy that doesn't want to be that to the guy that understands why he has to be that. And he's all in the acting. I think he's great in this.
He was Luke Skywalker.
No.
That's what he was. I'm not the guy. I'm not the powerful guy. Oh, I could do these things? Oh, I got to learn these things? Oh, I am the guy. Look at me. I'm going to go defeat some major people now.
I am the law.
Like, I don't know. I found nothing unique about his character.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about his acting.
As I'm saying, I didn't see anything that was like, blew me away. Yeah, he was the guy. He was the lead. He kept the story moving. I wasn't overly impressed. I didn't think he did anything.
You're such a hater,
And
bro.
I can't, like, when he fucking battles Austin Butler,
Faith Rauta.
like, none of that is believable to me. Like, the guy
But
can
they're
just go
going so
and fucking tip him over.
they're going so fast in that fight.
I don't buy him as a warrior.
It just doesn't sound.
He doesn't, to me, he looks misplaced. Like, you don't belong here. You know you don't belong here.
I mean,
you're pretending to belong
guess.
here. I don't know. And I hold the grudge. I don't like him. I don't like.
No, I understand. I thought he might have impressed you a little bit on this one.
He was better in this one than he was in the first one.
Okay.
I was happier with his performance here than I was in the last one. But, I mean, when the bar is that low, you know, there's 100 steps to go. You're on step 2.
But and by the way, he Paul Atreides in the first movie is supposed to be 15 years old, and a small 15-year-old at that. That's not what we get with him. We get like a 30-year-old being like, "Oh, he's 15 and tiny." Like, no, he's not.
And he suffers, I think, from what you complained about on a movie we did a couple of weeks ago when we did Saltburn, was a beautiful person pretending he's not a beautiful person.
But in real life, he really carries himself like, nah, I'm not good looking.
Yeah. He's like, why would you like me? I'm just this simple little guy, Sanjaya.
Yeah. I just like pizza.
You don't want to get with me. And now I'm all awkward and shy to make a move on you. When really I'm this beautiful person that has no doubt that the world's in love with them.
Yeah. And also that any woman would be like, look, you're not my type, but I'm going to fuck you today.
And listen. He lives in the fucking desert. There's no showers. There's no hair care and all this other shit. And he wakes up. He's like, yeah, I'm just beautiful Timothy Chalamet.
Plus, people don't even sweat in this universe,
Listen,
man.
He fights and gets 2 stab wounds. And he's still like, hi, I'm Timothy Chalamet.
I think that's the wrong assessment of what he was doing.
No.
But people don't shower because people don't sweat. Their sweat gets reclaimed by the suits that they wear, so they can drink the water of the
Yeah, but his
sweat.
fucking hair gets messy.
Well, I guess
Not for Timothy Chalamet, though.
no. Or Zendaya, she got perfect hair through the whole movie.
Yeah.
Or his mom. How do you feel about her? Like, she was creepy, dude.
The mom, now that you talked about it a little more, it makes a little more sense. I was confused by her character in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's like just a regular person to begin with. And then they get to...
Well, she's not. She's a Bene Gesserit.
I know.
She's a witch.
She's a witch, but she's not like this powerful being to me. Like, you don't understand like what she's doing. And it seems so arbitrary. They're like, yeah, they want you to be Reverend Mother now. And she's like, me?
Like the only other Bene
Yeah.
Gesserit in 200,000 miles? No way.
And she's like, all right, I guess I'll be Reverend Mother if you have no one else to do it. I'm like, and like you now that you explained that these things were sent back from the future and they knew these events were going to happen and that it's all part of a master plan, it makes a lot more sense. But while I'm watching it, I was like, here's this person they don't know who just joined the group.
Right.
They're mad at Timothy Chalamet for being an outsider and a white guy.
Right.
But we're going to give all this power to the white woman who's also an outsider who comes from the same place that he comes from.
And because they don't explain, nobody explains how much people fear or respect the Bene Gesserit. Because most of the people that you see treat them like, shut up, witch. Like people that are used to having them around. So they're like, yeah, you a witch, but whatever. I got better shit to do than be worried about you and how you tell me to do things. You know, which is the only power that they show here anyways.
Yeah. So I liked her character. I liked how she did things. I like it more knowing more about it.
She's so creepy in this.
She's creepy. She does a great job of being creepy. It's just the transformation didn't make sense to me.
Right, got you. Like the idea of why.
Yeah.
And they, again, they don't say, because Stilgar, which is played by Javier Bardem, he says she's a Bene Gesserit, and everybody's like, "Oh, word," because we need one right now. So put it in here. But you are right that nobody explains like the importance of her showing up, as in like, "Oh, word," because we almost out of the one that we have. So
like she almost seems more important than Timothy Chalamet.
yeah, because she is in that moment.
But they don't really
explain
they don't
it.
put the gravity to it. Like you don't feel that that heaviness of why they need this person so badly so quickly. Because they don't even like wait. They're like, oh, well, we need you this second. Like you have to go right now. Like, you have to become this now. You can't really think about it.
Right.
And I'm like, this is why. Like,
What I did mind is because again, he doesn't have the explanation what I did mind was that the Reverend Mother that is passing the power to her, because now the Reverend Mother has to die to pass what she knows to her, and she says she's pregnant. We made a mistake. That part I minded a lot more because that's so much more important, and no one, even the lady Jessica, doesn't even tell it to Paul. Like, they should have never done this with me, because now my kid, this baby, this unborn fetus, is more powerful than anything alive, even you. But they don't touch that.
They don't touch that at all. Maybe book 3 or movie 3 or whatever.
Or movie whatever. Javier Bardem.
Yes.
I mean, he's great. Whatever. He's a good actor. I wanted a little more sugar in him. Remember when he was in No Country for Old Men and he played the assassin with the I want a little bit more of like the range. I mean, he's an incredibly good actor, so what he's doing is excellent. Everything that happens, he's like, it's like it's prophesized. You know, like he really sells that very well.
He does.
But I had such a problem because he's so like bent down to this white dude, and that really bothered me a lot. I think that I had a bigger problem with how much they made him being such a fanboy. And the people from and I understand why, because they explain like Southern people don't have nothing but desert. So they really are looking forward. And Zendaya does a great line when she's like, ignorance, basically what she's saying is like, they're more ignorant down south because they don't know anything else. So religion is all that they have. So it makes sense that they're super fucking like devoted to whatever religion is.
So I disagree. I think he did a great job. And I think his character mixed with Zendaya's character really shows you the transformation in the people. Is that this is what the older generation believes, this is what the new generation believes, and this is kind of the shift we're having now.
Right.
So I think you need...
No, but I don't mind his character. I just wish that he was a little bit more... not so much that he's a fanboy. It's just that it bothered me that he was a fanboy. Not that it's a problem. He did a great job. It's just that it bothers me personally.
Oh, yeah, so I think it was great, and I think it's important because he's trying not to just convince himself, but he's trying to convince everybody, all his followers. Yeah. So he needs to oversell,
and especially the Northerners who don't believe in the.
So he needs to make sure he points out everything that's good that it happens. Like, see, I told you, right? This is it.
So, by the way, Gurney Halleck, who we all knew was coming back, if you ever read the book or you've seen the 1984 movie, he was played by Patrick Stewart in the original. He's played by Josh Brolin in this one. Gurney Halleck, I love that character. He's a no-nonsense guy. He kind of comes in. He doesn't give a fuck. I mean, he's very happy to see that Paul is alive, but immediately he's into like, all right, this is how we're going to do this. We're going to get some fucking atomics. We're going to fuck him up. We're going to take, and Paul Atreides is like, whoa. There's more shit at stake here. And he's like, what, these fucking sand people? Fuck them. I'm here for my Duke, and I'm here for you. Let's go blow them up, and then we're going to take their women, and we're going to make soup out of them, and then we're going to just, if there's any animals, we're going to make another soup, and then we're going to go.
Lots of soup.
Yeah, let's go. And I thought that his character was fantastic because he's something about that also, how somebody that is, once again, same theme, from the older school, that has been doing this for a long time, that finds himself with the same purpose as Paul, revenge, that has never stirred away from the revenge plot.
I feel like him and Austin Butler kind of in the same field. The only reason I liked him a little bit better is that he's still alive. Like, there's still hope. Like, I feel like he's not developed enough in this movie to make...
But, I mean, he's from the last movie, too.
He's from the last movie, but I wanted more of him.
More of why he's thinking like
why
he's
thinking. There, his influence on Timothée Chalamet,
right?
His influence on the group itself is...
Or why his influence doesn't affect him anymore. Like, why isn't he more touched by that?
Yeah.
Like, why is he like, what are you doing? Like, I thought we were here to fucking kill Harkonnen.
And he's kind of accepted right away.
Yeah, and that's part of, like I think what I'm buying is he serves his Duke. Mm-hmm. So whatever the Duke wants, he has to do.
But the rest of the group doesn't really like they're all like, half the group is like, I don't know about Timothée Chalamet, like he's this white outsider. But with Josh Brolin, they're like, yeah, just come on in, fight with us. It's cool.
Oh, he says you're cool? Yeah, you're cool.
So I hope in the next one that he's developed a little bit more, and you see a little more of his perspective.
I hope so. I mean, I think you're right that he comes. I mean, this movie, there's so much movie, and then a guy that shows up in hour number 1 of 14 seems like he's so late into the story. It's like, oh, you don't have time to say me what this guy has to do.
So my hope is that Josh Brolin and Zendaya are a lot more involved in movie 3 than Timothy Chalamet and all these nonsense people that I don't like.
Killing Raban, which was what he wanted, was kind of like 22 seconds. He's dead.
Yeah, and that too. Like the whole Bautista story I don't really like. You know he's an idiot. You know he's gonna die. You know he's gonna lose his job. I felt like there was too much focus on him. To like, oh,
for the payoff.
We're doing it again. I'd much rather seen more of Austin Butler, more of Josh Brolin, more of that than what they did with Bautista.
He's such a minor character in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah,
he's so small that why spend so much time with him?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because he's a big star. And
that's why.
And that's why you should have hired somebody that no one knew to play that fucking character.
Yeah.
Even though Bautista himself is willing and able to play very small pieces and be just as good and important.
Yeah, I think he acted great. Like you really get that he's an idiot, that he's fumbling everything.
He's a simpleton, right? Like, he's just like.
So I don't mind him at all. I don't know. The character to me wasn't all that important or engaging, where I needed to see him over and over and over again.
Right, and one of the things that Austin Butler did as Faye Rauza that was amazing was that he shows up in the planet, and he's like, so who's bothering you? Oh, this Fremen over here. Yeah. Give me some bombs. You fucking blow the whole shit up. I don't give a fuck who lives there. I don't give a fuck who's fighting. Everybody's fucking dying.
Dead.
And he shows you how he thinks and how aggressive he is. He's kind of like an animal. Mm-hmm. But like you said, and like I've said, there's not enough of that to make him threatening.
Yeah.
It just shows like slivers of like, ooh, this guy is badass. Mm-hmm. But not enough for me to be like, hey, the fight at the end, he's a threat. It's more like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're the bad guy who had to die.
Yeah,
that's
right.
all you are.
You got to go.
You're the one who yonkers. So, Mr. Toe.
Yo.
Here, two friends in the movie with Matt and Six. I don't even think we really introduced the show today. We went right into business.
That's right. It's too much movie, man.
We have a system.
Yeah.
That's presented by Peanut Butter for Your Ass. That shows how we feel about these movies. Zero Toes.
Hey, man, you're in the desert. Put some peanut butter in your ass.
Yeah, I mean, peanut butter for your ass, man. Keep those worms away. Zero Toes being a terrible, terrible, terrible movie.
Uh-oh.
And Six Toes.
If you could see Matt's face right now.
Being amazing.
Yeah.
How many toes you giving Dune Part 2?
This is tough. I feel like I need to rewatch this movie to really have like a handle on it. And I think that's a fault in the movie. Mm-hmm. You should be able to watch a movie once and be like, I got it. I want to rewatch it to gather more. Mm-hmm. And I think this movie is so fucking dense and so much shit happens that it's a detriment to the movie. Having said all of that, it's shot gorgeously.
It is.
It is made, technically, it's made amazing. And I think that one of the things that I read is that the guy that did the film, which I told you earlier, shot it digitally for the crispiness, printed it in 35 millimeter, and then redigitalized it so it could have like some grain. So it looks amazing. Mm-hmm. It looks like out of this world. It looks like a movie, which movies don't anymore. This looks like a movie.
It's definitely a movie experience.
Yeah, and I feel like all of that gives a bit of saving grace. I think that Paul Atreides' portrayal and all of that is amazing, but the ending really fucked it for me because I wanted more out of it. But having said all of that, for me personally, this is a 4-toe movie.
4 toes.
I think that if we would have had an actual ending, like we said, that would have flipped in the next movie, I would have been happy because I would have been like, "Yep." I mean, a part 3 is gonna come out. Everybody's gonna fucking watch it. You don't need to dangle
You could have a cliffhanger and a satisfying ending at the same time.
At the same time, and it did not do that. So I think it would have been maybe like a 5.5 toes for me had he had that ending.
Wow.
But it's
2.5 drop just for the ending.
Yeah, it just is a big drop because it didn't satisfy me in the way like the second Lord of the Rings satisfied me. I know shit needs to happen. It is a cliffhanger ending, but so much shit happens in that movie that has an ending chapter.
Yeah, they some storylines get completed.
Right. What about you, Mr. Lamatina?
I want to give it lower than I'm going to give it because of my hatred for Timothée Chalamet and how much I really didn't like the first one. But this one, it's better than the first one, and which is a rare occurrence. Usually they go down from the first one, not up.
Yeah.
But I think I gotta give it 3 toes.
Whoa.
The ending is shit. We talked about that. The ending is shit.
Yeah.
The story is not great. Visually, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Some of the minor characters, I think, are much better than the major characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I think kept me more engaged than the first one. Because the first one is more about setting everything up and the major players in the game. This one, you see a little bit more of the other characters, which I enjoyed.
I'm kind of impressed that you gave it 3 toes.
3 toes. The movie, it kept me entertained. I can't say like there was some parts in the middle where I was like, come on already.
Yeah.
But the beginning was good. The ending, besides the very end, was good. But leading up to that, like it kept you entertained. It kept you watching it. There's not a lot of surprises. There's not a lot of guesswork in it, and it suffers, I think, unfairly, but still suffers to the comparisons of Star Wars.
Yeah, the power of comparison that he has.
Yeah, it's just it's nothing you could do about it. It's not its own fault, but you came second, and no matter what comes second, it's always compared to what came first.
Yep.
So I think 3 toes. I was juggling between 2.5 and 3.
2.5. I would not have permitted you to give it 2.5 toes.
It was almost 2.5, but I'm gonna stick with 3. For the pure fact that, well, not the fact that my hope is what I hope happens in the next one actually does happen.
Yeah.
That it's a cliffhanger. It's a shitty ending. It sucks to watch 3 hours of movie and not have an ending. Yeah, not be satisfied. But the direction they're going with pushing Zendaya and that character, I think, hopefully we better. And now that Timothée Chalamet has reached where he's supposed to get to, that maybe he'll fall more in the background.
Yeah.
And these other characters will rise to the top. But we're giving it 3.
I think that something that you said that I hadn't thought of is how much better the Zendaya character is in this movie. Like how much more she pulls your attention. Because she really is a lot of tension for everyone. She's tension for Paul. She's tension for Jessica. She's tension for everybody that surrounds her. Everyone that surrounds her. She's a point of contention. She's even a tension for the daughter of the emperor.
Yeah.
They just met. And she's still a fucking thing where it's like, oh, you, like whoever she is, it's like a big deal.
She's the only free thinker.
Yeah.
She's the only one making her own choices. Everyone else is following along what they think should be.
Yeah.
She's the only one who stands up and goes, this shit ain't right, man.
Right. Or I don't have to buy on your bullshit beliefs. Like I'm seeing with my own eyes. And there's some parts where she kind of believes a little bit. It's like, man, you really are doing all the shit that they say that you were supposed to do. Mm-hmm. But calm down with yourself. I just don't want you to get in, like, don't get your head get too big.
And she's not going to blindly follow it. She watches it and goes, all right, it is true. I've seen you do it. It's not where, like, Javier Bardem's character was just like, yes, you're like, you don't have to show me a thing. I already believe I'm all in.
As if it's prophesized. He just keeps screaming everything.
So I think that's enough of Dune 2.
Nah, man, let's watch it again.
I don't know where we're going next with this podcast. This is kind of the start of our new year. Like, we did Oscars. We wrapped up all those movies.
Yeah.
So this is like...
This is where we get a difficult spot where he's like, I don't know if something new is coming out.
Yeah, we're waiting for some blockbusters. but we already talked about Oscar movies.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens next. Maybe we'll do a couple of indies or
Some classics,
something
maybe.
silly comedy that's to break up this fucking nonsense of these stupid fucking fantasy movies.
Hey, man.
You know what? I
What?
didn't do in this movie?
What?
Laugh. Maybe a chuckle, maybe a smile. No laughs.
There was a part where, like I said, like the Javier Bardem character, there's a point where Timothée Chalamet does something that's absolutely nothing. Like he's just like, oh yeah, whatever it is, like, oh yeah, I peed on this tree, and then he jumps up. He's like, as it was prophesied, and everybody kind of laughs.
There's a chuckle, but no laughs.
No
Maybe
laughs.
next week we'll get something that has a laugh.
Hopefully next movie we get more laughs out of Christopher Walken.
Christopher Walken.
Wow, the Messiah.
All right. Speaking of dense, this podcast is pretty dense.
Happy Dance.
Happy Dense Day. I think we should hit the music. What do you think?
Yeah. Listen, best podcast about two friends and a movie.
It's a proven fact.
Well documented. It's over.
It's over.
Cue the music.
Bye, Dune.
Two friends in a movie. Two friends in a movie. Two friends in a movie. Two Friends in the Movie presents Once Upon a Rewatch with Sixto. So, I've rewatched Dune 2 because, like I said in the review, it's a lot of movie. And I felt like there was a lot of things that I was missing because I wasn't paying a lot of attention. So I had to give it a rewatch. And I have to say, this movie is actually perfectly genius. I was reminded, by the way, big fucking spoilers. So if you don't want to listen to spoilers and my neighbors walking on top of my house, maybe you should skip this part. But I was reminded, talking to a friend at work, what Dune was really about. Because I didn't remember the third book, which Frank Herbert had to write because he felt like people missed what Dune was really about. The danger of a Messiah and believing on somebody that will save you from all things, and how dangerous that is because you must do the work. And I have to say, number one, Timothée Chalamet, great fucking work. The turn that he takes, number one, is about a person that is trying to fight against something, but everything is pushing them that way. And because he's very fucking young, and when you're young, you can't kind of work your way out of learning patience or being more assertive about what you want or you don't want, or maybe because he's being trained by his mother in the ways of the Bene Gesserit, or because the one guy that's supposed to be like a Bene Gesserit really is supposed to understand that he must fall in line for the future to be saved. When he's saying the entire movie, if I go south, millions of people will die, millions of these people will die, he was in line when he said that. And he really, really knew that would happen if he went south, but he did it anyways perhaps because he is the Kwisatz Haderach. And you know, the Bene Gesserit, at any cost, to save the future. So, you know, at the end of the day, this book is supposed to be about the danger of believing in messiahs and how they can manipulate you into something awful. And if you're too much of a fanatic, you will lose. So if you keep that in mind and all the things I've said through the podcast, you understand why this is so big and why Timothée Chalamet did such a great job of doing this. I just think that he did great, much greater than he was given credit for. Much better movie than I gave it credit for the first watch around. I think this really, for me, is a 5.5 to a movie. But we cannot, by law, by rule, we cannot take back the points that we've given it. So it stands as it stands, and hopefully, one day, you will all watch this movie and you would have heard this extra section and give it the credits that it deserves. Amazing. Well, for Two Friends in a Movie, this has been Sixto Reynoso. Two friends in a movie. 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 Two friends in a movie.